Welcome back to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett, and we're going over the latest release for Wizkids Games, Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing. For those who don't know, Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing is a miniature game based off of Wizards of the Coast Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game, which is having a fantastic resurgence. And Attack Wing is a miniatures game with pre-painted figures, and you build an army, and you go out and you battle other players. You can do that through scenarios, or just like battling it out to the death. And then also there's monthly organized play events where you can go and play with other players, win prizes. Really fun game, great game. So right now they've got Wave 4 that's been released for the game, and Wave 4 consists of 3 new sets. We have a Gargoyle, we have a Gold Dragon, and a Stone Giant. These, of course, aren't the main game. You're going to need the main game to play, but these are figures that you can add on to your force to help you battle it out. So the game's fantastic so far. Month 2 of the organized play has happened. As I said, this is Wave 4, so there's been a whole bunch of releases. Each wave that comes out is about 3 releases. The first wave was a little bit different, and then there's also been releases for organized play, in which case there's been prizes, but also in this last organized play there was blind boxes where you could get more figures to add to your force. So we're going to open up the first figure. We're going to do the Gargoyle. As we're getting started, on our site, graphicpolicy.com, I made a few predictions as to what I expect in these expansions. All going off the top of my head before I dive into the Wizards of the Coast Monster Manual for Dungeons & Dragons. I said the Gargoyle has a lot to do with stone, so expect something to do with stone as far as rules. How that actually comes out, what that is, I have no idea, but going through the monster manual, gargoyles, the inanimate gargoyles that perch atop great buildings, are inspired by these malevolent creatures of elemental earth that resemble grotesque, fiendish statues. Gargoyle lurks among masonry and ruins as still as any stone sculpture, and delights in the terror it creates when it breaks from its suspended pose, as well as the pain it inflicts in its victims. Animate stone. Gargoyles cling to rocky cliffs and mountains, or roost on ledges and underground caves. They haunt rooftops, blah, 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 able to maintain the state for years, make its century. They have a reputation for cruelty. They're cruel servants. They're easily inspired by the cunning and intelligent master. They enjoy simple tasks such as guarding a master's home, torturing, killing interlopers, and anything else that involves minimum effort and maximum pain and carnage. Sometimes serve demons for the propensity for wanton chaos. It doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep. Maybe we'll see something as far as that in the game. As far as the actual abilities in the Monster's Manual, they have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons that aren't adamantine. They're immune to poison, and poison has come up in the game already, so maybe we'll see something with that. They condition immunities to exhaustion, petrified, poisoned. While Gargoyle remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from an inanimate statue, so maybe we'll see something. If it doesn't move, it can't be hit. They do have multi-attack, so they can take attacks, one with its bite and one with its claws. The bite is a melee attack, and claws are also a melee attack. They look to be about the same as far as the damage. So let's see what we get in here. It's interesting that I think the gargoyles have something to do with stone, and we also have one of the other figures is the Stone Giant. Whether or not that's planned, I guess we'll find out in a little bit as we go through everything to see how they stack up. So let's first look at the figure. So the last couple of releases have been cool. They have had like these small figures. The general consensus, not just among myself but also other players I have talked to, is that the bases generally suck to get the figures in their pegs. So far this figure isn't that different as far as that. The peg's a little bit hard to get in, but the figure itself is kind of cool. There's a lot of detail to it. The chest is kind of impressive as far as the level of detail. The wings are
cool. Overall, though, the figure coloring-wise is very flat. It's just really monotone as far as look. There's not really a lot of shading. I know it's supposed to be stone, but even stone has a little bit of variation in the coloring. But overall, like, the sculpt's really, really cool, especially for something that small on that scale. So, I'm going to say impressed with the sculpt itself. The coloring, though, leaves a little bit to be desired. But still, it's cool. It's another small unit to add to the game, so can't really complain as far as that. So, let's see here. Going through the expansion pack, it contains maneuver blah blah blah, dodge token, concentrate token, charge tokens, altitude tokens, effect token, duration tokens, armor tokens, exhaustion tokens, critical hit token, no attack, pivot token, basilisk tokens, damage tokens, petrification tokens, creature cards, maneuver, upgrade, campaign artifacts. Alright, so the other thing that's kind of cool with these releases is that they include campaigns that you can play with the new figures. So it's not just a thing where they kind of give you the figure and you got to make it up on your own. They give you a full campaign to actually play and use the figure. So let's go over the campaign first with what we usually. So this is Adventure 6.2, the Gale Force Gate. Gale Force Gate has been guarded by gargoyles since just after it was made. But time has taken its toll even on these creatures, and only Malebolgia remains. Well, Malebolge, I guess it's Malbolge, not Bolgia, whatever. There's magical basilisk statues, lion, and tiger anyway. Originally put here to catch and kill anything that might enter his gate. He's not had a decent fight in centuries. But there's one thing a gargoyle understands: it's patience. Now that patience is about to be rewarded, for creatures have brought the key, probably imagining that it alone would be sufficient to ensure their safe passage to the palace courtyard. He chuckled at the thought from his perch at the far side. So they're definitely using the flavor of what gargoyles are in the D&D game. Check out that artwork. Really cool. And that is actually the artwork from the Dungeon Master Manual, or Dungeon D&D Monster Manual, not Dungeon Master, the Monster Manual. So the scenarios for 2 players. At the end of the activation phase, each creature with a the adventure objectives. Malebolgia wins if the Gate Crashers are eliminated. Gate Crashers win by eliminating Malebolgia and the Basilisk. If both forces are eliminated during the same round, replay the adventure. Cool. And there's a bunch of battles, after Battle 1, after Battle 2. So you've got a new scenario to play. And let's check out what you got. So that's the basilisks that are mentioned. Very cool art. I bet you it matches up to what's in the Monster Manual. We've got our usual tokens. I'm guessing these are all probably for scenario, or maybe not. Yep, some of these are for petrification. So these are the petrification tokens. And these are the damage tokens. So it's all for the scenario. And more stuff. But no, what we really wanted to know about is what cards you get and what this actually does. So let's go over that. So first, we have 2 figures. Let's go over movement for flight. It's not bad. It looks like it's got some decent movement, a little bit of green, which doesn't give you much options, but there's not much red. So you're looking at a creature that can fly around, a decent amount. You got some distance with the 4. You can flip it around at 3, or reverse at 3. Not bad at all. I think what's really nice, what's immediately stood out at me, is on the ground. He's pretty decent on the ground as far as movement. Usually you see creatures aren't very good on the ground, but this one I'm actually going to say is one of the better ones. We've got 2 options. We have a Gargoyle Guardian and the Malebolgia actual named character. 22, 29 points, a little bit expensive, but you're actually getting some pretty good defense, not defense, but life off of it. They each have 3 attacks. The more expensive of the 2, the cost 29, it has 1 defense, 5 lives, 2 armor. Those are figures that are going to stick around for a while. One thing I do notice that it doesn't have is it has a forward claw melee, but I'm not seeing anything as far as multiple attacks, so maybe we'll see that in the actual cards themselves. But let's check that out. So, let's go with the campaign artifact. This is the Bag of Winds. All creatures within range 1 to 4 of you in all directions roll -1 attack die and -1 defense die during combat. You're immune to this effect, as is any creature holding the 7th Shard of Law. When this effect ends for any reason, discard this card. And then Malbolgia may use any upgrade slot to equip this 4-point card. So that's not bad. I mean, all creatures within -1 attack die, -1 defense die during combat. That's pretty good for 4 points to bring everyone down. So that I can see getting pretty handy use in gameplay. So we've got, most of them are 3 points. So we have Freeze. If your armor cannot be penetrated by any damage, even if the damage is from an attack that penetrates armor, this effect ends immediately if you are in the air or after you initiate attack. It's gargoyles only. It kind of matches the whole toughness that was described as far as resistance. We have inhuman toughness when you're defending during the compare results step of combat. You may discard this upgrade to cancel a hit or a critical hit result of your choice. So a nice card to hold in case your dice aren't helping you. That's another 3 points. Can give that to anyone. That's just going to be a really useful card in general. This one costs +3 for non-gargoyles. Is when you spend a charge token, you may choose to use the 2 forward template instead of the 1. It's called Momentum. That's not that bad. It might be worth the 6 points. Stone Jaws. If you inflict at least 1 damage against a creature with your claw attack, you may immediately attack the same creature again using your primary weapon value. The attack is considered a primary weapon bite attack. The creature defends against this attack normally. Must be a gargoyle to equip. As I said, the main card didn't have the dual attack. There you go. So you're going to have to equip them 3 points to kind of get that dual attack that's described in the Monster Manual. And then the most expensive is cost of 4, Creature of Living Stone. You add 1 to your starting armor value. If this upgrade is ever disabled or discarded, flip 1 of your armor tokens face down. It no longer offers you any protection. If the upgrade is later re-enabled, flip the armor token face up again. Must be a gargoyle to equip. So we've got two cards that are specific to gargoyles. We've got one that with the named character, it can put it in any slot, and then one that's cheaper for gargoyles. So very, very specific, and a lot of them help with the flavor of the Monster Manual, so adding extra attacks, adding a lot of toughness to them to help deflect attacks, protect them a bit, make them a little bit stronger. So it fits the flavor of the character, and it's not really built in as far as cost of a figure themselves, but when it comes to point-wise, you know, if you were to equip, let's say, everything, we've got 6, 9, 12, 16, 20 points, and you can put 4 on Malbolgia. So you can't even put all of them on. So let's see, even if you take the most expensive, 10, 14... So 39, 43-point figure, totally maxed out with everything on the cards plus the figure itself. When you can compare to some of the releases that's happened with the OP events, which you have to build a 30-point figure, the Gargoyle is a little bit more on the expensive end. There's some other figures I might want to grab instead of that. I mean, like, I'm a huge fan of the Elf Ranger, especially with the various archery abilities and cards that that figure can do. But not bad. It's, again, adding more flavor to the game. A lot of toughness. It looks like a character that can take a hell of a lot of beating. But anything like that is good to see. So, that wraps up the Gargoyle for Wizkids Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing. We'll be back to open up the next 2 figures and see how they compare to the Monster Manual and our predictions. So until next time, you can catch us every single day at graphicpolicy.com. Of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere at Graphic Policy. We keep it nice and consistent. Thanks for watching. This is Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett, and until next time, keep it geeky.